Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Sai. Guten Moed. This is Yehuda 11. The program is 11 at 11, heard each and every Thursday evening, including this Thursday evening, Chol Moed Sukkos Tov Shin Pei Tehei Shas Shnas Pidyon. May this be a year of redemption. And this is your humble host, Yehuda 11, with 98% of my brain tied behind the backs, most of Klal Yisrael. Not because I'm something special, but because I was a Maisa Kuf Ba'alma, an automaton, a robot of the Gedol Yisrael of yesteryear, and therefore I have, maintain, and convey their hashkafas just to make things understandable to you, Moirav Rabbi Sai. This program is going to be a combination of Simchas Bais Shoayva music, as well as Divrei Torah, on inspiring Divrei Torah on Sukos and the remaining days of Sukos. And I guarantee you that if you take on to listen to these Divrei Torah, that you will enhance immeasurably your appreciation of the Yontif of Shavuos, of Sukos. Moirav Rabbi Sai, first off, why do we call this Yontif Sukos? So I would like to suggest as follows. It's a very optimistic concept. Sukkah, first of all, Sukkah is the gematria of 91, Tzaddik Aleph, Tzei. By the way, Tzei, you go out, it says, of your Diras Keva, of your permanent residence, and you go into a Diras Aroi, a temporary residence, to tell us, to teach us, of course, that all life is temporary. Before the auditorium, there's a hallway. This is just a temporal, brief life. So say, go out of your creature comforts, get real in your new start. That's Pashut. But Tzaddik Aleph 91 is the combination of 26, which is Shem Havaya, and Adnos, Aleph Daled, Nun, and Yud, which is 65, which is a total of 91. Sukkah, Samech, Vav, Chav, Hey is 91. So it's the Shiluv, it's the networking, the latticing, the juxtaposition, the intertwining of the Shem of Adnos and the Shem Havaya, which is a concept. If you look in certain types of Sidurim, you see that one of the kavanas that a person is supposed to have is to be Meshalev. When he says Yud Kei Vav Kei, he's supposed to intersperse it with the names of Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud. And this is a concept called, the Kabbalistic concept, L'Shem Yichud, the uniting of Kutche Brichu Shchinte, or to Yud Kei, and rather Yud Kei Vav Kei, and Adnos, etc. It's this kind of Kabbalistic stuff. But there's another madrega. The madrega is that that in the future there's going to be another 4 added on to the name, and that's going to bring it from 91 to 95. And the Rupture says that's the bracha that we give. The zivuk should be Oli Yafa when a person gets married to his mate. So we wish them that the zivuk, the union, should be Oli Yafa. It should be very, very productive. It should be elevated to a very productive way. That's the simple meaning. But the zivug is referring to the zivug of not only the human beings, but the human being zivug is a facsimile of the various attributes of Hashem being this daveg, the adnus and the havaya. So that will go from 91 to 95. And the numerical value of 95 is Yud Pei Hey. 80 is Pei, Yud is 90, and Hey is 5, is 95. So if you think about it, Sukkah is 91. But when you add on the 4 letters, Samech, Vav, Chav, Hey, it's 91 plus 4 is 95. So the concept of Sukkah is that you could have a Sukkah experience that's, so to speak, 91, which is very high and elevated, or you could have one which is mamish futuristic, like it says, V'Yakov noisa Sukosa. Yaakov is the holiday of Sukkot. He's constantly traveling towards Sukkot. He's traveling towards the epitome. He's traveling towards the ultimate end. He's traveling towards the denouement. He's traveling towards the time that Vayomahu Hashem Echad U'Shmei Echad. Sukkot is the final biblical holiday. Okay, it's the final resolution, if you will. So therefore, the zivuk should be Oli Yafeh. So you could have a Sukkot experience of 91, and if you're Zoich and you try hard enough, you could touch upon the Sukkah a sukkahs of with the hashlama of the 4, which will bring us to 95, which is the zivik being oily yafer. Let's get on to the next subject. The Chazal tell us that because Avraham Avinu said v'yishanu tachas ha'etz, to recline under the tree, to the malachim, his children were merited the mitzvah of sukkah. Now, I have a few questions. You have to understand, when Hashem was visiting Avraham Avinu, this is the biggest possible pleasure that a human being can ever comprehend having, is the union of a direct relationship, an intimate relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I dare say that if you take all the physical pleasures of all the people in the world, from the time the world was created until the end of time, it doesn't come to an infinitesimal fraction of the hana that a person has when he has an intimate relationship of the kind that Avraham Avinu had, a bikur cholim from the Rebbeinu Shalom, from the Borei Kol HaOlamos alone. What's my raya to this? Because it says in the Olam HaEmes, we're going to sit and be nehena meziv hashchina. The biggest payoff, the biggest payout, the biggest pleasure possible is to sit in the proximity of the Shechina and to enjoy, to have tainug from his radiance. We don't even know what that means, but it's a million times more. In other words, you just have to work it up gradually. If you take the food that you like the most, and imagine the taste that you're enjoying, that steak that you like most in the world. Imagine if you would have that steak, that taste, that level of pleasure, 24/7 for a day. Imagine if you have it for a week, for a month, for your entire life. Imagine other pleasures, physical pleasures that a person has, of the most wonderful, wonderful, indescribable physical pleasures. You take all of that in one person's life. It's a mega amount of pleasure. And then all the people in the city, all the people in the state, all the people in the country, all the people that lived in the world at the time, billions of people, and then quantify it by all of the years. Avraham Avinu was experiencing more. So I want to ask you a silly question. This is a mitzvah. He wanted to do achnos sarchim. Fine. He could have done it later on. In other words, how long was Hashem going to visit him for? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, 3 hours. But eventually Hashem was going to go. When Hashem was going to go, nobody was stopping Avraham Avinu. He'd be able to go and find the idolaters and be makayim achnos sarchim. Was it gebrennt by Avraham? What was burning by him that he had to say to Hashem, hold it, Hashem, I have to leave you now. I have to give up all this pleasure, dafka now, in order to do achdas sarchim. So I would like to propose as follows. And the second question, what does it mean, vishanu tachas ha'etz, recline under the tree? If, in other words, by reclining having them recline under the tree, that's how we get sukkah. Sukkah tachas ha'etz, we know is possible. It's just that's not a Welt's kasha, but it's just very interesting. If a sukkah tachas ha'etz is possible, why do we have to derive that the mitzvah sukkah was given from a physical situation, which if the sukkah would have been in that particular location, it would have been on its face. It would have been apostle sukkah. It would have been invalid. So I would like to suggest as follows. Avraham Avinu realized this message that we've said different times before on this forum, that the core inyan of being in this world is v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, through developing our relationship of love for our fellow man and lavishing our love in physical acts of chesed, etc., on our fellow man and our fellow human beings. That's the only pathway to get to Ani Hashem. If that's the only pathway to get to Ani Hashem, so what happened was, when Chava betrayed that v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, that the Gemara says is a special derivation, reacha hatoivloch, not just your fellow man, but especially your dearest friend that you could ever have in life, which is your spouse. And she betrayed her spouse by having a relationship with the Nachash Hitl Bazuhama, and secondarily she betrayed once again for a second time by not only having the relationship with the snake, but acting as the agent of the snake and bringing down Adam from his ethereal, from his sublime celestial levels of ruchnius, Amarti elihim atem, that you're literally a demigod, and bringing him down to a fallen state. Because he ate from the forbidden fruit. So she was a boigeda, she was a traitoress. She turned the Haftarechel Kamoicha on its face, and the Neila Adam Arishan was sort of Kaifer Be'ikar. He became a bit of an apostate. He answered God, Achalti v'choloid, I ate from the forbidden fruit, and I'm going to eat again. Whether he was just bemoaning the fact that he's going to do it, or he was actually azustic, probably he was bemoaning the fact, but nevertheless, he was Moshech Bar Losai. He did things which, according to his Madrega, where it's like being a kaifer, an apostate. Why? Because he did the opposite of Ani Hashem, of relating to Hashem. Why? Because there was such a pegam in V'Ahavta Kamoicha. So Avram Avinu realized very well what the Medrash Rabbah says, that Avram and Sarah, excuse me, are supposed to be a rectification of Sarah and of Chava and Adam. So Avram realized at this sublime moment, at this supernal moment, at this ultra-spiritual moment, that Hashem is visiting him. Can there be a greater Ani Hashem than Hashem coming down to this world? Very, very much down to this, to the bailiwick of Avram Avinu, to visit with him, so to speak, Kavyachol mano a mano. He realized, I have to work my way backwards. If now is the moment of Ani Hashem, and I feel this tremendous love and tremendous intimacy with Hashem, now is my opportunity to rectify with my progenitor, the progenitor of all humanity, Adam Arishan, cast asunder with Chava. By now working my way backwards, and because I'm having such Ani Hashem, I'm going to change the focus and take all of that love for Hashem, that intimacy and that yichud, and I'm going to direct it towards my fellow man, creating an unbelievable mega dosage of V'Ahavta L'Reacha Kamoicha. So I can't do that later on after Hashem leaves me. Then it's anticlimactic. I have to do it right now, Be'eden Riska, while it's hot. That's when I have to do it. So he understood that here's my chance for rectification. Imagine the gevura that it took to pull yourself away from the most delicious meal in your life, from the most delicious physical feelings of your life, from the most delicious, wonderful physical feelings of all of humanity combined. As I said, Avram Avinu he ripped himself away in order to replant in the spiritual genetic code of humanity in general, but Klal Yisrael in particular, that V'Ahavta L'Reacha Kamoicha should once again reign supreme and be the causative methodology, the catalyst of Ani Hashem for all the Doris, and that it should be accessible to all the Jews. That's what he was doing. So he dafka had to do this by cutting short his visit with Hashem and thus establishing Godel Hachnosas Orch, which is a Maisa of Chesed, which is a Maisa of V'Ahavta L'Reacha Kamoicha, which is the concept of Olam Chesed Yabana, the purpose of the world. And the way the world continues to exist, to get to God, is through the acts of Chesed. By doing this, and more than that, since what do you have to do? I want to ask another question. Avram had a nefesh she'asu b'chorin. He could have taken his own chasidim and he could have fed them a delicious meal. I'm sure he did chesed with them every day. So why did he have to go out k'choyim hayoyim to the edge of his tent to look in that, and when Hashem was moitzi chamim and atika, to make it supernaturally hot so that nobody should come and bother Avram, and Avram Avinu had to go then. Why couldn't he just go and say, bring in 4 or 5 of my Talmidim who are in the process of becoming Gerim, whatever it is, and I'll do chesed with them, I'll tchashk with them, and that's how he could have applied. In other words, we answered why he had to leave Hashem at that moment to do it. But why did he have to go outside to look for more people? The answer is because Adam Harishon, and they became kafrim, so to speak, on their level of apostasy, of Hashem Acher from Hashem Echad. Hashem is just another force, the Amaleki concept. Hashem Echad, they take off the tip of the Daled, and they make from the Echad Acher. That's a problem that we all have. Our money is a deity by us. Our creature comforts is a deity by us. Our pleasure is a deity by us. Our vision, looking at the wrong things, is a deity by us. That's making from Hashem Echad, Hashem Acher. Adam Arisha and Chava, the first ones to do when they ate from the forbidden fruit. By the way, do you see that Eitz Hadas is rectified with Sukkah Leman Yedu Dereseichem? It's a rectification of Das. We're going to get to that in a moment or two. So therefore, Avram realized, I have to find People who are koifrim, people, I have, just like I'm working my way backwards from V'ahavtes Hashem, I'm working my way backwards to what? Ani Hashem, Avos Hashem, relationship with Hashem, working myself backward to V'ahavtu Yacha Kamoicha. So now I have to find people who are koifrim in Hashem, Oivdei Avodah Zarah, who have dust on their feet of Avodah Zarah, and I have to give them a new start by showing my love for them, for those people. Okay, not my own people that I'm comfortable with, that I love, but people who are antithetical to everything I stand for, people who are over there by desire, etc., etc. I have to give them a new start. That's the whole message we spoke last week of Sukos. Sukos is the totality of new start. So the only thing that Avram could do, Avinu, he realized that would be effective enough to overturn what Adam Arishan did and to create such a huge rectification was to go out and get do Oivdei Avodah Zarah and turn them around by saying, wash off the Galulei Avodah Zarah, the dust from your feet, and I'm going to give you food, and we're going to thank Hashem, etc., etc. So now we're going to answer that. What is the concept of Tachas Ha'etz? So Tachas Ha'etz could mean two things. It's symbolically under the tree because he's saying that this should be a rectification of the sin of Eitz Hadas. The Eitz Hadas was the wrong kind of knowledge that they took, which caused Adam and Chava to be koifrim and to be balei taiva, etc., because it brought the Ra, which is an external force, as Rebbe Eliyahu explains, maybe in the name of Rava, the Maral, maybe in his own name. There was an external force and made it part of the body politic, part of the essence, the spiritual genetic code that a man has to contend with. He brought the Eitz Hara into him. So now he's saying, come under a tree that will represent the problem of the tree, and we're going to do the exact opposite. We're going to JEW, Jiu-Jitsu, flip it around and make a new start. We're going to make Ani Hashem, and therefore that's going to lead to V'ahavta l'reacha kamoicha. And that will spawn, that will yield, that will produce, that will catalyze the mitzvah of Sukkah, which is a new start. Another shot is, Tachas Ha'etz is instead of the tree. By going under the tree and using the term Tachas Ha'etz, Avram is alluding to Tachas Ha'etz instead of the sin of the Eitz Hadas. I'm going to do something which is fakert, which is trying to rectify the sin of Eitz Hadas. That's what the Tachas means, okay? So that's what the Tachas means. And now, as I was speaking, I just realized the third explanation is Tachas Ha'etz, because instead of the das of Eitz, which was a negative das, so to speak, because it brought in the Yetzer Hara, you're going to now come to a new start of Sukkah that the Eitz is going to spawn, which will be Leman Yedu Dareseichem. So what is the Sukkos? Why is it Sukos? Why isn't it just, why don't we call it just Chag HaSukkah? Chag HaSukkah, because each one has, even though the Torah says Sukkos, but why don't we call it Chag HaSukkah? Chag HaSukkah, you have to make a sukkah for yourself. Each has to make a sukkah. Especially there's a Chazal that says every Jew altogether is roy to sit in one big sukkah, and that's going to be the Irish Oliviyas, and then there's going to be one sukkah, communal sukkah. It's going to be so massive, it's going to contain all of Klal Yisrael, because sukkah is it's binding everybody together. The reason that sukkah is related to Anania Kavod, and Anania Kavod surrounded all the Yidden, so to speak, and Anania Kavod was in the Sukos of Aaron, and Aaron loved every single Jew, and Aaron brought all Jews together. Remember how they mourned Aaron? There was all Jews, a unity. The whole concept of sukkah is a total unity. So why is it Chag HaSukkos? So it could be, we could suggest, and I wouldn't be surprised if it says this in Swarm, that sukkahs is because there are two types of sukkahs. It's a machlokes of the Chazal in the Mishnah. With sukkahs because of Anania Kavod that surrounded the Jews on 6 directions, up, down, and all four directions, the ultimate embrace of God. Or with sukkahs mamish, he mamish built them in the desert. Where will you find all the wood and everything else? They had sukkahs mamish, hotkelis, butkelis, and the answer is elu ve'elu dirilikim chayim. It was both things. So the question is. So the point is, it's Chag HaSukkos is an illusion that it was both things. Chag HaSukkos is the physical sukkahs that Hashem gave us. That's we should be aware, and we should recalibrate, and we should re-energize ourselves into thinking that every piece of our gashmis, every little piece of creature comfort, if I have a piece of scotch tape mask, if I have a piece of paper, if I have $1 million house, if I have $1 million vacation, whatever it is, all the gashmis comes from Hashem. That's Sukos Mamish. And Anani HaKavod is a more spiritual type of a thing, a proximity with God, a feeling of love, a feeling of closeness, a feeling of elevation in tefillah and in Torah, etc., etc. All of this comes from God. So it's Chag HaSukkos, it's two things. I'd like to suggest something else. That Sukkos means as follows. We go into the Sukkah 24/7 for 7 days as much as we can. So let's say you go into the Sukkah one time, and that time you're speaking Chas v'Shalom, not such Gishmak Zachid, you're making jokes, you're not being serious, etc., etc. So you didn't have an elevated Sukkah experience. You shouldn't give up. Kavi el Hashem, like we say, daven to Hashem, and if it doesn't work the first time, chazak v'am sibecha, reinvigorate yourself in your heart. Kavi el Hashem, daven the second time. So Kavi el Hashem, chazak v'am sibecha is not only if you weren't answered, but Kavi el Hashem means if you didn't do a good davening, I'm saying, then don't give up. Rav Shalom Shadon says all of a sudden he was in the middle of picking fruits in Matnei Yehuda, squeezing the vegetables, and somebody punched him in the heart. He opened his eyes and he realized he was hitting himself slach lo novinu in the middle of Shemon Esrei. He punched himself because he was dreaming that he's going to be Matnei Yehuda. So he wasn't concentrating. He was showing how easy it is to lose track during tefillah. So let's say he did that. Did he give up on tefillah? No. Chazak v'yam sibecha. If you didn't daven good at the beginning, continue. So the Rekeach says that even though you have to have kavanah, the first brach of Shemon Esrei, it's li'ikuva. If you don't have kavanah, you have to go back to the beginning of Shemon Esrei, the Shulchan Aruch Paskins, but we don't do that because we're afraid. Like Rav Shlomo Zalman says, who says you can have kavanah the next time around when you go from Baruch Atah until Magen Avraham? It's so hard. It's so hard, etc., etc. Rav Shishka, Rav Moshe Feinstein said at the Levaya, or maybe not at the Levaya, but at a different time, about his late great son-in-law, Rabbi Shishka, who was nifta very young, the original Rosh Hashiva Staten Island. He said that by him, if he would not have kavanah once, he would be able to go back even b'zman hazeh because Chazak he'll have kavanah. The concept is, what happens if we don't have kavanah? So officially, the Shemon Esrei is not good. It's not good because you have to have kavanah. It's li'ikuva. So the answer is, the Rekeach says that by Moedim, if you haven't one by Moedim, Moedim is such a central aspect, giving thanks to Hashem and recognizing everything comes from Hashem, being mefarsim from that. All of those things that rectifies, that's another way of doing it. So you never give up. Sure, Rav Shadron, if he wasn't being mechaven, he and he started mechaven. So it's the same thing with sukkah. I'd like to suggest, if you didn't get the sukkah the first night, if you didn't get the most gishmak out of it the second night, keep on trying. Sit in the sukkah and think about what Anani HaKavod means. Anani HaKavod means that Hashem so loved us that he treated us just like Adam Rishon Kodim B'Chet. A man and his wife have a lot of fights, and they go to a therapist or they go to a rav, or they manage to make shalom bayis, but the topsoil was worn off. Will they ever have that idyllic, supernatural, pure, pristine, pure love that they had on the night of their chuppah? No, it's been damaged. They've seen the clay feet, each one of the other. They said things to each other, names, etc. And even though they made a peace again, but it's not the same. But Hashem loves us so much that he took us just like Adam Harishon Koydam Hachet. If he came out and he was born, rather, in his birthday suit, Hashem covered him up with Anani HaKavod, as we said last week, when he prayed for rain. So the Anani HaKavod rained on the flowers and the fawn and caused all the vegetables to grow. And then the Anani HaKavod, after it dumped its load of rain from the ocean, it certainly enveloped Adam in the Chava, then in the six-way embrace. So, and Hashem made eye for us after the Chet HaEgel, and yet he gave us Anani HaKavod again. That's unbelievable. So when you go in the sukkah, think about that. We're sinners. We've disappointed him so many times daily. And he loves us again and again and again. He's meichel us. It turns white at the end of Yom Kippur. Solachti kedvarecha. I'm coming down to you again and again. In terms of a mishkan, in terms of a sukkah, the connection between them. He loves us so much. How can we not think about it? Go into the sukkah, and instead of fripperies, think about how much he loves you. Go there when there's nobody else there. Cry out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Don't be embarrassed. Cry out at least from your heart. I love you, Hashem. I realize what you're doing for me. I realize the kinderlook that you gave me, the health that you gave me, the wife that gave me, the husband that you gave me, the job that you gave me, the house that you gave me, the ability to go to the Bais HaKisei, which is mamish like a day of rain. It says in the Chazal that mamish chas v'shalom, a person cannot use the facilities, cannot void properly, the tsar that the person has, that my kidneys are working, that my liver is working, that I have comfort and that I have pleasure in the food, and I enjoy Jewish music and I enjoy nachas for my kids. Thank you, Hashem. After all the things I've done to betray you, time and time again, pshat is, even after I've sinned, you continue to feed me, you continue to give me. Sukos is the time 24/7, an entire life cycle, a weekly cycle, which is the cycle of this worldly cycle. We recharge our batteries similar to what we do by Pesach. When we detox of all the bad stuff, the toxins, which is the chametz. Sukos is the positive aspect. We instill ourselves. What do we instill ourselves with? With Yiras Shamayim, with realizing that this life is temporal, that we go out from all our creature comforts, and it's mano a mano with HaKadosh Baruch Hu's seclusion. It's a new beginning. It's a base chasnus of the chosn and kala kutche brichu kav yochel and klal Yisrael. I would like to suggest that with the lulav could mean loy leiv. Our heart should be to him. I'm sure the Psalm say that. And loy could mean to him, to the person who's using the lulav, leiv, a new heart. Why do we bring the lulav, we shake it, and we bring it to our heart, to our breastplate? So I wanted to suggest, I was thinking today, during davening today, Thursday morning, I was thinking like this, that what do we do with the lulav? We do it in all multi-directions, in all 6 directions, just like the Anania covered us, and that's why we're supposed to do it inside the sukkah. We're facsimilizing, as I said last week, what Adam Rishon did. He was in the Gan Eden Atach, he prayed for the floor and fauna, and that's what we're supposed to have in mind. What else should we have in mind? We should have in mind that since we're in the confines of the sukkah, and since it says by lulav v'samachtem lifnei Hashem likecha, that somehow the lulav and esrog is supposed to bring us tremendous simcha. Why is it supposed to bring us simcha? So if you think about all the things that lulav represents, it represents our relationship with God and renewing our relationship with God. Because all the 4 meaning represent God, as we said, different sukkim. It represents emulating and re-establishing our close relationship with our founding fathers. Okay, and with Talmidei Chachamim, with Torah. And it's a methodology, and that should cause a simcha. The fact that we can have a new start, the fact that we broke the vase into 1,000, 1,000,000 shards and broken pieces, and we can put it back together again supernaturally. We pulled the tree off, the fruit off the tree with the head of Adam Rishon, and we could somehow reestablish it. We could put the food back on the tree. We can make it like it was before. Chosn and kala, once they fight too much, it can be good, but it could be it's never like it was before. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's mamish like it was before. New start again and again and again. So we're pulling that from all the 6 directions inside the sukkah. We're pulling that down. We're pulling that from side. We're pulling the simcha of the new start and the new relationship. We're putting it into our breast, into our hearts. Loy lev. We're getting a new heart infusion. We're getting rid of Arlas Levavchem at the end of Zos HaBrocha. Zos HaBrocha ends off Le'enei Kol Yisrael, and then we read Bereshis. It's the Lamed of Yisrael and the Bais of Bereshis. It's a new heart. We're circumcising our old heart. That's what we're doing at the conclusion of the holiday of Sukkot. That's Atzeres. We're gathering in all of the madregas that we got in the Sukkah. Shemini Atzeres, we're taking that with us into the new world. When we go out from the confines, because we've been invigorated, we no longer need the physical protection of the mechitzas to save us from the makatrigim. That we needed for the 7 days. The 7 days, the rabbis say in the Talmud, that the lulav and esrog is gira b'nei satan. You're poking out the eyes of the satan. It's so powerful. You're doing physical actions. So not only are you accumulating and bringing into your breasts, into your heart, but you're also expelling, because danuim is shaking it out, bringing it in, shaking it out, bring it in. That also means that when you've invigorated your heart, when you have a Yiddish neshama, you have so much to offer to the whole world, to your fellow Jews. And on a greater level, the Arizal says that even though reyacha is dafka, your fellow Jew, but that's according to the din, but lifnim mishus a din, you have a message, and a message of love, says the Arizal. Not only to the to the Jew, but to the non-Jew as well. Halachically, you don't return a mitzvah, and this halachas with ribbis, with all kinds of things. But in terms of the essence, that there's going to come a time, a futuristic time, v'asu kulam. Just excuse me, we have to pause here. I'm having a little bit of a problem. But also kulam aguda achas, that the tachlis is to make a kulam aguda achas, that we're going to all one time serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's very interesting with the same thing that Hashem, that Avram, the same situation that Avram used to be mezakeh Klal Yisrael with Sukkah, which is the only concept of new start. This is the same way. He's actually going to be mezakeh the Umas HaOlam, because the Sukkah does two things. We know the story that at the end of time, the Gentiles are going to taina with messianic times. Hashem, you gave the Jews everything, but you didn't give us. We want the same kind of thing that Hashem. So why could that the Jews had? So Hashem could have given them tefillin, oh, you see, you could have given them bris milah, you could have given them Shabbos, but the only thing that contains everything, that contains a new start, mitchila vatzai, from A to Z, is Sukkah, as we've explained last week, and all of the aspects of Sukkah, the Ovis, the Kabbalah Torah, the Kriyas Yamsuf, the Mon and the Be'er, it has all the things in it. The splitting of the Red Sea, Shoayva. So therefore, what's going to happen? The Gentiles are going to be bought in the mitzvah sukkah. But we also know the war of Gog and Magog is going to take place. It's going to have to do with sukkahs. But we also know that in the aftermath of that, it says that every year the Umas HaOlam are going to come, sukkahs time, to the Bais HaMikdash. And we know the Shlomo HaMelech says, Ki Beisi Beis Tefillah Kol Amim. So there's going to be two things. It's going to be two aspects of the Gentiles. There's going to be the aspects of the Gentiles like the Mitzrayim that were deluged, that were finished off, and then there's going to be the Ninveh types of Gentiles, and with them we're going to do v'asu kulam aguda achas lasas ritzayncha, and that's going to evolve around sukkahs. So Avram was being universal. The sukkah is not only for us, the sukkah is for them also in a certain way, and that's why on this Yantav of Sukkahs we bring the karbanos for the Umas HaOlam. So we diminish the karbanos every day. So people say, "Oh, you're diminishing it. That means that we're destroying. We want to destroy the Gentiles. We're misogynistic. We're haters." No. We want to destroy. We want to eventually eradicate the negative aspects in the persona of the Gentiles, and get rid of the dross and leave over the good stuff to smelt it, just like the Jews had to go through the smelting process of the Korah Barzel, of the fiery furnaces in which you smelt gold to take out the impurities, to take out the dross. We went through that in Egypt, and the Gentiles go through that, especially at the end of history. But what's going to be left is going to be all of us together. That's what Sukkot is about. Avram Avinu was being mezakeh all of us, Rabbi Isai. Now, let's see what else we have here. So what I said before, that Sukkot is, we have to think about this. When we go into the Sukkah, we should think about this. Leman yedu darisechem ki b'Sukkot seshafti es b'nei Yisrael b'hoitzi yosem mitzrayim ki b'Sukkot seshafti es b'nei Yisrael. It's both Anania covered and it's the physical stuff, spiritual stuff and the physical stuff. When we say moedim every day, we say al nisech sheb'chol yimanu, v'al nuflisech v'tevasech sheb'chol eisah v'vek v'tzorayim. Al nisech sheb'chol yimanu is the fact that we our plumbing inside our bodies works properly, our heart and our lungs and our liver and our every part of us, that we're able to walk on our feet, all of those supernatural miracles. But we all have these individual things. We stepped off a curb and we narrowly missed getting run over. We had the money that we needed to make Yontif, and on and on and on. So the concept of Sukkah is similar to the concept in Maidim, that we have to be aware, we have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for everything. And the Sukkah is a particular point that we should make these cheshbonos. Rabbi Sai, why do we say Zachreinu l'chaim melachafetz l'chaim chazveinu b'sefer ha'chaim? I was thinking about this year. What is the chazveinu b'sefer ha'chaim? If we said Zachreinu l'chaim melachafetz l'chaim l'mancha l'kim chaim, what is the chazveinu? I think that chazveinu is an additional dimension of good. In other words, sometimes a person says, I'm going to do this and this and this and that for you. You say, yeah, you're really going to do it? You're going to forget it the next day. No, I'm going to do it for you. You know what? Write it down and sign it. When a person writes it down and signs it, it's like he's writing a check, he's signing it, then it's a done deal. He's not, I'm making you an offer, I'm going to do it. I'm writing the check now, I'm doing it. It becomes concretized. So we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, write it down, because Veinu b'Sefer Chaim. Why? Remember last week I said how I love the Mabit and the Bais Elikim and the Belzer Rebbe of Yosef Doi, Sachet Doi from Belz, because the Rambam makes it very difficult for us. The Rambam says Hashem has to say testimony on your tshuva that you will never, ever, ever, never, ever return to the Averi you did. Who can say that? So it's very depressing. So basically the confluence of the Mabit and the Belzer was basically from both of them, each contributes a piece that, listen, if you meant it seriously at the time that you did it, so then afterwards, if you slip up, then it's not like all the bad stuff comes back to you. You did tshuva on that. Bygones are bygones. Now you slipped up again. You got to rectify what you slipped up. That's a beautiful, powerful thing. To emphasize that the Rambam is not as much an indictment as we think from a simple reading of the Rambam, because in other words, because at the moment now on Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur, the says you made tshuva, or if you didn't do it me'yira of tshuva mi'ahava now, because of love of God, because of His largesse and His magnanimosity, we love you, God. It's so beautiful. We'll do tshuva now. So at this moment, Hashem will be made that right now, if our life continues from this moment on, the way it is now, Ba'asher Husham. That's why we read about Yishmael. Yishmael was going to turn into a Brit and everything else, but at that moment he was crying a pure cry. Hashem adjudicated him Ba'asher Husham, as it says in the Torah. So that's a big message. It's another chesed of Hashem. So that concept augments what the Belzer says and what the Mabit says, that it doesn't come back. So Rabbi Sai, that's I believe why it says v'kosveinu b'sefer hachayim. We ask Hashem, write it down. Because let's say Hashem writes it down and He inscribes us in the book of life. So even though the Chazal say that on a certain level a person is judged every day, but lemaisa, because Hashem is hatoiv hu meitiv l'roim l'toivim, hatoiv hu meitiv, more and more good. So therefore, if we can point to Hashem afterwards and say, you put it in the book, you wrote it down already. So even though I allow stuff after Yontif, give me another chance. Okay, I'm ready. I put it in the book, so I'm going to stand by my word. So because Veinu b'Sefer HaChaim. And remember the concept of L'mancha Likim Chayim. Remember, it's not too late now. L'mancha Likim Chayim. Because of you. What's the deal? The deal is, give us credit now. You know what hakafos is? We're doing hakafos every day of Hashanah, and then we do hakafos by Simchas Torah Shmini Atzeres. You know what hakafos is? So the Sfarim will say hakafos also means when you buy on credit. It's called a hakafa. So we come to Hashem, we say, after all the tshuva that we've done, but we can't possibly deserve all the largesse that we're asking you for now. Etc. So give it to us, Bahakafa. Give it to us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Give it to us on credit. This Torah that we're saying here should be a refuah shalema for all the people who need refuahs and Yeshuas. Ve'imi marasi Masha basmatel L'Dav ben Chana v'ani Yehuda ben Masha Avram Halevi ben Chayerezel v'soich shar Chole Yisrael. and there should be a zechus for people who need zivukim, who need to have the proper shidduchim, that they should all do shidduchim, and that there should be a shenas oisha v'chayim in the zechus of the Torah that we're speaking, that we're learning here with thousands of Yidden. Rabbi Sai. Let's see, Rabbi Sai, we have 20 minutes left. I want to tell you another beautiful Torah here. For years I was saying, since I saw the Sfas Emes, the Sfas Emes says in the beginning of Parshas Kisisa, look how much Hashem loves us. That the bigger the Aveira that we did, from that Aveira Gufa, it spawns, it triggers, it catalyzes, it kicks off, it throws off a reversal. The bigger the zechus, the mitzvah that comes out from it. So the Matzah says, so he gives an example. Moshe was 6 hours late. He wasn't late, but the Chazal made a mistake. The Yidden there made a mistake, and they thought Moshe was supposed to be there at the hour of 12, and it was supposed to be 6 hours later, whatever it was. So they said Moshe's late, so they did the sin of the Chet Egel. So the rectification is because of that. There's a Machtis HaShekel, says the Tanchum Kisisa, which is 6 gram mitten. So you see that from the very Aveira, it causes a mitzvah to come. The Machzis Shekel is so powerful that it says in Chazal, Higdim Shikleim Lishkolov, that the Machzis HaShekel that Klal Yisrael gave overweighed the 10,000 kikar kesef of who knows how many shkolim, 600,000 shkolim that Haman gave. So you see how powerful Machzis HaShekel was. In other words, it comes out, if you think about it, that the Chet HaEgel kicked off ultimately a tikkun to stop the genocide of Haman. You understand what's going on? That's why Hashem loves us. So for a long time, I thought that was the fulcrum, that was the basis, that's the basis from which we learned this. But it's not true. We see it by the Esrig. The Chet was the Chet of the Eitz Hadas, and there's one man who says it's wine. It was Anavim, Socht Anavim, grape juice, wine. Another says it was Chita. Another says it was Taina, and the fourth in the Medrash says it was Esrig. So we see that these things also become, wine becomes the way we Mekadesh, we sanctify all of the various things, all of the various aspects of life cycles, Shabbos, Yontiv, Bris, Chasnas, bread. Bread is the Iker and Surah, Shtei Alechem, Hamoitzi, etc., etc. And what about Esrik? So you see already the jujitsu JW flipping around, that the bad becomes a reason for good. You see it already from Esrik, but I want you to know on a certain level, you see it even before that. You see it with Sarah, because the Trua is a sound of Rachm, of Din. It's a sound of din. What's her name? Chava made bechias and yololis. These are the sounds of true, of din, to coerce Adam into eating from the forbidden fruit and bringing down the whole world. The cosmic chet, if you will, right? So imagine to use that same thing, to use that very same sound, so to speak, that those sounds should now be the source of the biggest rectification. This is, I realize, like the Chazal says, by Oz Yoshem, Moshe Rabbeinu said, Umei Oz Basi al Paroi, Hashem, since I came to Paro, I made things worse. You sent me to Paro, now things are worse for Klal Yisrael. So later on, when Moshe says, Oz Yoshem Moshe, so Chazal say, an enigmatic Chazal, a mysterious Chazal, look at the founding fathers, that with the very aspects which with they sin, they rectify. Because he said, "Me Oz Basi Paroi," I was using the same lesson of Oz. This is the concept which I call JEW Jiu-Jitsu, flipping things over and making from the bad into a good. The greater the bad, the bigger the good. So the source of this now is really Sarah Imenu, because Sarah is the first one that takes the sounds that Chava made, Bechis Yololos, and it says, Goncha Vav Koilos Kevav Tkiyos Vamesa. She crechts 6 sounds like 6 tikiyas, and she expired. Remember when I spoke about this in the past, that she voluntarily gave her life, that there should be a Mesiras Nefesh Mamish for the Akedah, and therefore, since it was a Mesiras Nefesh B'chush, an actual physical Mesiras Nefesh, somebody gave up their life. Now all of us Jews, her progeny, for all the Doros Nelchad Koven Shtachva, can utilize that, access that Mesiras Nefesh and Holocaust pogroms, inquisitions, and crusades, and numerous times. But out of question, Goncha is a lashon of krechsin, which is a lashon the Gemara uses. Genuchi gonach, yolil yolol, yevavis, bechias. That's a negative. Tekiyas a plaintive, straight sound, yashar. So what does it say? She krechts. So I was machadish recently that it could be that this was the kunst that Tzara pulled off. When she passed away, it was kivav tekiyas. It wasn't. It was that she was able to turn the truest sounds, the krechsing, which meant din, because of what Chava did, and she utilized this of Mesiras Nefesh to Lord Hashem, to praise Hashem, to respect Hashem, to love Hashem, to convey as the matriarch, the transmitter to all future generations, that ability of Mesiras Nefesh through the sounds that were like a tekiah. The tekiah is positive. She turned the very essence of the true itself, jujitsu, into being something positive. And thus, she was the basis for Ashria Yoidei Srua. They know how to take the trua, which means din, and which is negative, which is gevurus and everything else, and they have to turn it into, they can turn it into raiva, into rutz, and evincing and evoking, emoting, that Hashem should emote. Rachman, he should get off his kisi of din and go to Rachman. That's what Sarah did. So Sarah was the first one who switched things around. Sarah was actually the first one to switch things around. So this is very beautiful. And therefore, in part because he switched things around, and Avraham Avinu switched things around. Okay, so as we said with Sukkah, so they switched things around, and this all is to our advantage in a positive way. So now listen, a lot of L'David Hashem Oyev Yishi centers around this thing. We're going to have a day of Tzari V'Oivai, Hey Makoshu V'Nafolu, and Takna Le'Machne, they're coming after us. What am I going to do? Shifty Beis Hashem, where? I'm going to go into his Beis HaMikdash. By the way, a reason with Arizal, I said that you do the lulav. Another third reason, I gave two in the past, I'm giving you a third one, that we take this, the dafka, the lulav and esrog into the sukkah is very partial. You know why? Because the sukkah is like a Beis HaMikdash ma'at. Okay, and where were we supposed to be misameach and bring simcha? Samachta lifnei Hashem lekecha with the dal d'minim. It says, and that was in the Beis Hamikdash Tafka. So 7 days midoraisis in Beis Hamikdash. If you're outside Yushalayim, then even in the original times, they would only do the lulav and esrog the first day. But once the people were outside Yushalayim, they didn't do the lulav and esrog. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, when he saw the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, the people going to be depressed, he was geyser not to forget the mitzvah and to have all the benefits that we need now of what the lulav gira beinei asatan, it's shtachsat eyes of the satan, and it brings simcha into us and it reestablishes our relationship. We need this to take our spiritual vaccinations for 7 days. So we said to do it for all 7 days with Rabbanan, a facsimile of what we would do in the Beis Hamikdash. But that's very appropriate now if the actual sukkah is Sukkah's David. If the Beis Hamikdash is called Sukkah's David, so it's a sukkah. So we go into our sukkah, Hamikdash Ma'at. That's the appropriate time to do it for 7 days. Beautiful, beautiful. So now let's go back to the David. Shibdi Beis Hashem Kol Yemei Chaya Lachs B'nei Hashem V'Veikav Ali. Kitzbeneni B'Sukkah. He continues. If I have to hide out in the sukkah in a bad day, Yistereni B'Seis Allah, I'm secreted there. B'Tzur Yeremeni, I will be exalted by HaKadosh Baruch Hu my rock. V'Ata Yom Reisha Levoisai Suvaisai. And in the safety of the sukkah where I ran to escape from my enemies, because the Makatkim Meriftos, the Chazal says, Hashem says, go hide out in my sukkah. Listen to this language. Rabbi said, this is beautiful. I just noticed it this year, this season. In the confines of the sukkah, ba'oila, when it's based on Mikdash Ma'at, in his sukkah, in my sukkah, I will sacrifice zivchei trua, sacrifice of trua. That means I will take the evil stuff, the bad stuff, the din stuff, my negativity, and I'll be mahapachit, just verily like sorrows mahapach, the yololis and bechitz of Chava, zivchei trua, and it will become sacrifices to Hashem. Or Shira Vazam L'Shamayim. This is something to be b'simcha to sing about. That's what Sukkot is all about. So the avodah of blowing the shofar, and that's one of the reasons I believe we blow the shofar by the Hishanas, because we're so to speak commemorating the fact that we've succeeded. Hashem Yoidei Trua, the Zivchei Trua, by taking the very thing we sinned with and making it. So now this is a beautiful thing. That's why tshuva me'ahava, the zdoinis nashas kizchuyas. I believe the fulcrum, the basis for that, the basis that our zechuyas. It's not enough that we get absolution, but our negative stuff becomes a positive. How does it become a positive? It becomes a positive because if we took the negative and for the glory of God, we made it into serving, and we took the of the we took the bad stuff, and we made that to service to God. So then He's going to take, He as a reward for that, the measure of me, He's going to take those original bad stuff, and when we rectify it, He's going to make it into chusim for us. Just so we took the very bad thing and we made it into a service for Him. Rabbi say now in the final moments, I haven't said all the Torahs I wanted to say, but in the final moments, there's a Gilad Patalsky, a tremendous band there Yisrael that he plays every year on at Chevron, the Sukos Bais Shoayva, and he has on YouTube. He has Sukos Bais Shoayva music. We're not going to have time only for the first 10 minutes or less of songs, but I want to leave you on a musical high note so you can enjoy this Thursday evening. We have the largest Sukos Bais Shoayva because it's going to be for 10 minutes on the air of the music. And you can't get the music, but you can get all the different Torah on the YouTube on my channel 11 at 11, where it's archived LEVIN, the number 11. You'll get here to Sukos, and you can enjoy this and pass this around. So the first songs are Baruch Elokeinu and Baruch Hu and V'secha Zeneinenu. I don't think we're going to get much further than that. But Rabbi Sai, I just want to give you a little bit of instruction. When you dance, please don't just dance and be happy in a mindless way just to feel geschmack. Squeeze out the juices of the happiness. Think about what the words mean. Baruch Hu Elokeinu shebranu lichvoidai. I rededicate my life from now on, the new start, that I should be a source of honor and glory. Think about it. He separated me from all those people, not only from the people in the Gentile community who are pushing all the immorality and the paganism and the hedonism and the narcissism, but unfortunately the V'lam al Shinim Chevra, the people in our own community who are pushing all the Chazarai. We have everlasting life. Think about it. And when you dance, think that every time I'm lifting my feet, I'm jumping off this world. I'm like the chicken. The reason we eat chicken Erev Yom Kippur, etc., is that chicken hops. It's not like a behemoth that's sedentary on the ground. It's a quasi bird. It attempts to fly a little. We're constantly trying to reach up to the shamayim, to the heavens. Think about that. That's what we're doing with dancing. Think about the fact that we're dancing b'mechoil. We're making our kafis. And our kafis is we want things on credit, and we're investing in advance and loving you and in simcha for you and in our hearts when we're dancing, we're saying we love you. We want to do better this year. We want to give you nachas. We want our children to give you nachas. We want to be deserving of another good year for forcing Yeshuas. Look at the faces of Erlich Yidden around you who are dancing and be malamed schus on them and say, look, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could have the kavanah that they're having. I'm like the person who was Namoritz and he went Suchas Torah into the dance, and the rabbi says, what are you dancing so lebedik with the Torah? What do you have a shaykhis? You never crack open a Gemara. You don't learn anything. And he answered the rabbi and put the rabbi in his place. He said, then if my cousin makes a simcha, I'm not allowed to be happy. So say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even if I haven't been doing what I should be doing, but my cousins are happy. And I'm happy with my cousins being happy. And I'm the simcha rabbi, v'yahavtu recha kamecha ani Hashem. Rabbi say, simchas Bais Shoayva. You know, with the Shem Shoayva, they would draw the water doing, they would draw Ruach HaKodesh from looking at tzaddikim and everybody who was dancing and everything else, cavorting and loving HaKadosh Baruch Hu and rejoicing. Rabbi say, schlepp the simcha. This is Yehud 11, a guten Tamid, and please be with us again next week and spread the word about this program. We should be zoicha to a gewaldige year. The Sfarim say that if you daven good on Simchas Torah, every single davening, Shmini Atzeres Simchas Torah, all the davenings, you're guaranteed to have gewaldige davenings a whole year round. So Atzlacha Rabbah, the davenings, and our guten Tamid. And now on the radio program, we go for the last few minutes of the music.